And today I bring you guys my Zimone Mystery Unraveler deck profile for y'all today. And I must say, I think this is my new favorite deck. Out of the 5 decks I've shown you so far, I like every single one of them. But I think I found the first deck that I actually just love. This deck is everything I want in Commander. It is stupidly fun. It is stupidly able to cheat out some of the craziest cards in the game. And it has really fun mechanics, which are really awesome. So let's just get straight into this. So who is Zimone, the Mystery Unravel? Well, she is another Cynic deck, so she is green-blue. She is a 4-mana commander. She costs 4, plus 2 colors and a green and blue. She is a legendary creature, human wizard, 3/3, and she has 2 abilities, and both abilities are insane. So first ability says, hey, whenever you play a land for the first time on your turn, or any turn, you get to manifest Dread, which is you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you have to place one onto the field as a face-down monster, as a 2/2 manifest Dread card. It's a face-down, colorless card. And the other one gets milled to graveyard. However, when you play any additional lands after your first land on either player's turn, you get to flip up that monster, which is absolutely amazing. So this is the biggest peekaboo deck of all time. This deck's whole shtick is cheating out really high-cost creatures, enchantments, and artifacts in order to just snowball advantage and win the game. It's really fun, and it doesn't play like any other Cynic deck or any other deck you've ever seen. So instead of the normal deck profile where I go over creatures and artifacts and enchantments and go from there, we're actually going to go over how the engine works. So first things first, that's our commander, so let's go. We're actually going to go over lands first. So there is approximately 40 lands in this deck, which sounds like a lot, and it kind of is, but it's actually perfect for this deck. This is a landfall deck. You want as many lands as humanly possible to play. We are playing currently, hold on, let me just make sure I grab this right. If I can do this right. Always grab too many. So we are playing 14 forests and 14 islands. So that is 28 basic lands. I just want to show it to the camera real quick. So we're playing 28 lands when it comes to basics. We're playing 14 islands and 14 forests. Now the reason why is because we are a 2-color commander. We don't want to be having too many of the other card. And honestly, I feel like this is just a good ratio. Split it down the middle, 14-14, sounds pretty good to me. Now, we got to talk about the remaining 12 lands we are still playing. So this is 28. We have 12 fetch lands. Now, fetch lands are usually okay cards. Basically, you can place them on the field, sack them, and then you get to basically get a free land from deck, tap probably. However, in this deck in particular, fetch lands are insane. Because basically, let's say you have Zimone on the field. You can play a fetch land for turn, which will cause Zimone to manifest Dread. Then you can sack the land, and then guess what? Place a new land down. You played 2 lands this turn. Now you get to flip up whatever you manifested, which is kind of stupid and gets hold of the deck going. So we're playing 12 fetch lands overall. So we're playing Typologic Expanse, Fable Passage, Vibrant Cityscape. We're also playing Misty Rainforest. We're also playing Prismatic Vista, Exploring Wilds, and Escape Tunnel. These are for our generic get any kind of land. These next ones get either a blue or a green. So we have Flooded Strands, Scalding Tarn, and Polluted Delta, which gets us blue. And we're also playing Windswept Heath and Wooded Foothills for the green. Now, you're probably wondering, hey, why are we not playing 3/3? 3 that get blue, 3 that get green. Well, that's because we're playing some sorceries and enchantments that specifically get green as well. And I felt like to balance it out, I gave more blue fetch lands, and I gave green more instants and sorceries and creatures that search green. So that is it for the lands. We're playing 40 in total, which is pretty insane. Now let's talk about the creatures slash our ramp card. So just because we have all this land doesn't mean we can just get it for free. We're also playing, I believe, 13 to 14 cards that ramp us. So first things first, we have Sakura, the Tribe Elder. It's a snake guy. Tribute him. Search your library for any basic land. Put it on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your deck. Helps you ramp quicker. This deck wants to just basically place 2 lands every turn. So this card helps you that immensely. We're also playing Grove Spiral. It's an instant. It says draw a card. They put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. It's a little worse, but it's an instant, so we can do it on our opponent's turn. And if we manifest Dread on their turn, and then we do this, congratulations, get to flip a monster on your opponent's turn, which is really nice. We're also playing Shared Roots, a brand new avatar card. This card says, hey, search your deck for any basic land, and then, hey, congratulations, come in and tap. Great card, awesome, amazing. We're also playing Rampant Growth, does the same thing, it's a sorcery though, and it says, hey, search your library for any basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped. We're also playing Farseek. Farseek's a little less generic. It adds any island, plains, swamp, or mountain. So it cannot add forest, so it'll just be adding islands in this case, but it's just another good card. We're also playing 3 Visits, which searches basically only a forest and puts it on the field. We're also playing Nature Lore, which also only puts a forest on field. So that kind of balances out why we have 3 water. We have 3 water and only 2 here, because we have 2 here and 1 here. Anyway, next we have Cycles of Renewal, another avatar card. Sacrifice a land, search your library for 2 basic lands, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. This card's amazing. The reason why you're okay with sacking your own lands is because we have plenty of cards that allow us to play lands from our graveyard. So sacrificing a land is actually not a big deal in this deck. Same thing with Eldest Restoration. This is a Lord of the Rings card. Sacrifice a land, search your deck for 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your deck, and if you control a creature with 4 power, instead, search your library for 3 basic lands, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your deck, which is another great card. We're also playing Hollow. Hollow says an additional cost to dispel, sacrifice a land, search your deck for 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield tapped, another great card. We're also playing Cultivate, does the same thing as a sorcery though. These are instants that are quick speed, you can do it on our opponent's turn, which would help trigger our guys on our opponent's turn. Cultivate is a sorcery, so we can only do it on our turn, put 2 basic lands onto the field. They are tapped, yada yada. And then we're also playing Kadama's Reach for the same reason. Does the same thing, search your library for 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield, whatever. And then finally, for our last ramp card, we're also playing Beanstalk Giant. Now, this guy is a beat stick and a sorcery all in one. So he has 2 things. If you manifest Dread him, he's just a creature. Cool. However, if you just hard play him, you either hard play him as the creature, or you can play him as the sorcery. So as a sorcery, he is 3 costs. And he says, hey, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then exile this card. However, Beanstalk Giant can be played from your exiled. So you can actually play him for these. So you can play him as a sorcery early in the game, and then you can pay his mana cost, which is 7, which is not hard to do in this deck, and bring him out from exile onto the battlefield. Or you can just manifest Dread him onto the field, or you can just hard play him, which is pretty insane. Beanstalk's Giant's power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control. So he's actually a pretty big guy. Another great card there. So that is it for our ramping cards. As you can see, we are playing a lot of cards because we want to play multiple lands a turn. That's how this deck functions. Next, let's talk about the cards that actually make the deck go. The artifacts and enchantments. So first things first, we have Scroll Wheel. This is a 2-cost card. It says, hey, for 1 mana, you can rest this card, exile any number of cards to your hand face down, put those cards at the top of your library into the hand, and then look at the exiled cards and put them back in the library in the order. So this card reshapes our hand. Let's say we have 5 cards in hand, but we want to manifest 3 of them back on top of the deck. So what we will Scroll Wheel, banish those 3, draw 3, and then put the cards we want on top in any order so we can manifest Dread them onto the field. Really great card. Next we have Scroll of Fate, another great card. It says, hey, rest this card, manifest a card from hand, and make it a 2/2 creature face down. Helps us manifest the big guys in hand. Another great card, helps us get our deck going. We're also playing Conduit of Worlds. This card says you may play lands from your graveyard. So this is how we're also getting lands from our graveyard after we sack them. It also says, hey, you can rest this card. Choose a target non-land permanent in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells for this turn, only as a sorcery. So if we somehow mill like a Eldrazi or something, we can literally just rest this card, cheat it out, which is pretty insane. Conduit Worlds is a great card, and it's absolutely stupid in this deck. We're also playing Head Shedder. Now, this is another creature artifact vehicle. He's pretty interesting. So he says, whenever Head Shedder attacks, you may mill 2 cards. However, we're not really using it for that purpose. We can, but in order to do that, we have to crew 1, but we never do that. What matters is the second effect. Whenever 1 or more land 2 cards are put into graveyard from your library, put them onto the battlefield tapped. So, again, when you manifest Dread, you're putting a card face down on the field as a 2/2 manifest Dread card. However, the next card gets milled. So let's say you hit like an Eldrazi and an island. Well, congratulations. You can manifest Dread the Eldrazi, mill the island, and then congratulations, Head Shredder will then place the island that you just milled onto the field, so it land ramped you. And then congratulations, your Zimone will flip up the Eldrazi, and now you have an Eldrazi on field, which is pretty nice. Now, you do need to be careful, because manifested cards, if they have on summon effects, do not turn on. For example, a lot of the Eldrazi say tribute like Annihilator 4 or Annihilator 2 when they are summoned. Congratulations, you cannot do that if you manifested them. However, we have ways to get around that, like Conjurer's Closet here, that helps us out as well. Or we just hard cast them. This deck ramps so fast that like turn 6 or 7, you're at like 10 mana. But the Head Shredder is just a good card. And I do want to also mention that let's say you had a whole bunch of cards that are Manifest Dread on the field, and you choose to flip them up on like the next turn. They do not have Summoning Sickness. They were technically already on field. So you could like set like a Darksteel Colossus on field. On your next turn, flip that guy up and attack with him immediately, which is pretty insane. Next, we got to talk about the next card, Conjurer's Closet. Now, this card seems stupid, but it's actually insane in this deck. This card literally says, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile a target creature you control, return to that card on a battlefield under your control. So what does that mean? So you exile a card, and then you bring it back. And that means if you exile a face-down creature, guess what? It's coming back face-up, and it's having its on-summon trigger ability, because you just basically blinked it out of existence, and now it's coming back to just Annihilator you out of the game, or do whatever crazy bullshit it does on summon. And then finally, for our last artifact is Arkham's Memorial. This is a 7 cost, but again, we could cheat our lovely artifacts off Zimone, so do keep that in mind. Creatures control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from red and black cards. Now, you're probably thinking, why do we need this specific card? Well, one, this card wins games. If you have a whole bunch of creatures on field, and you just need a way to have flying and get over them, this card helps you. This also protects you from cards like Blasphemous Act and some of the best black removal in the game. Another card, the reason why I love this card is because a lot of my friends play black and red, so this card kind of stomps them. Also, giving you vigilance, first strike, trample, and haste, and you have like a whole bunch of like 10/10s on field, can just win a game. So this card is just amazing. I absolutely love it. Personally, I think this card is just incredibly good. Next, let's talk about the enchantments. First things first, we are playing Sylvan's Library. Sylvan's Library is another just great card. Actually, I'll put it here. It's an enchantment. It says, hey, it's for 2 mana. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. So you draw 3 every turn. However, if you do not put those cards back onto your deck, you will have to pay 4 life for each card you leave there. So for each of those cards that you kept, pay for life or put that card on top of the life. So you're either drawing 3 every turn, or you could stack your deck in order to manifest Dread them, which is also just really good. So it's up to you. Really great card, helps you set up your deck, does amazing in this deck. We're also playing Trail of Mystery. This card's another amazing enchantment. Another 2 costs, 1 green. Whenever a face-down creature you control enters, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So hey, anytime we manifest Dread, we just get to search a library. We just get to search a basic land directly from deck. And it also says whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, that creature gets 2/2 until the end of turn. Not a bad effect. ultimately just really, really good. We also have threats around every corner. This card's also amazing. This says, hey, whenever you manifest dread, or this basically, whenever a face-down permanent you control enters, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped. This card is stupid. So anytime you just place your normal land for turn, Zimone will manifest dread. Threats around any corner will then immediately get you a free land from deck, land ramping you, and then congratulations. Zimone will flip up whatever you got, and you just go from there. Insane card. Next, this isn't a creature, however, I'm putting it in the artifact section because it is a creature enchantment or whatever. This is Foss's Deep Dwelling. This is a number 4 cost, indestructible. It has devotion to 5, so it lets you have 5 creatures with blue. It is not a creature. However, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile up to one other target creature you control, then return it to the field under your control. You're probably wondering, why are we playing this? So this is basically our creature slash enchantment version of Conjurer's Closet. It does the same thing. We just exile a creature we control and then bring it back, which is insane. However, it also has the additional effect for 4 mana, 3 colors and a blue, tap a target creature. So you can just also just start resting your opponent's field in order to get game on them, which is really nice. We're also playing Vacate for the Pipes. This is a number 5 cost card. This card is also amazing. And this card says, hey, when you play this card from hand, you get to manifest Dread twice. So you get to basically put 2/2s on the field. You get to do it twice. Zimone only does it once a turn. This does it twice a turn on activation. However, it also says, on the last part, right here, whenever a face-down creature control enters, draw a card. So this card says, anytime you manifest Dread on your turn, your opponent's turn, just get to draw a card. Really stupid card. We're also playing Primal Mist. At the beginning of your end step, you may manifest the top card of your library. So basically, at end step, this will manifest Dread. However, it also has the ability that you may exile a face-down permanent you control, face up, and you may play that card in a turn. That part doesn't really matter as much because when you exile a face-down permanent you control, you may play that card this turn. You still have to pay the cost of the card. So that part doesn't really come up unless it's a small creature. However, this part, at the beginning of your end step, you may manifest the top card of your library, is good. So at the end step, you're just going to always manifest Dread, which is going to trigger your threats around the corner, allowing you to flip it up, which is amazing. Next, this is a card I don't see any green decks playing, and I don't understand why. Lurking Predators. This card is absolutely stupid. So this card says, hey, as a 6-cost enchantment, it says, whenever an opponent casts a spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put it onto the bottom of your library. This card is the most stupid card in the whole deck. Why does this card, as a 6-cost card, just say anytime one person plays a spell out of the 3, my opponents, there's going to be 3 of us, anytime they play a spell, I just get to look at the top card of my deck. If it's a freaking Eldrazi or some crazy card, I just get to play it for free regardless of the mana cost. This card is stupid. It punishes your opponent for even playing the game because it literally says, oh, you activate an instant, a sorcery, a creature, an artifact. Congratulations. I'm going to get a chance to gamble and win the game. We also have another card that kind of does that. Web of Life and Destiny. This is a new card for the Spider-Man set. This card's amazing. It does have a Convoke play, so creatures you control help you cast a spell. So the more creatures you have, the less this cost. But it has another effect, which is actually kind of insane. So this card says, at the beginning of your combat turn, you may put a creature card among. You may look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield and put the rest of the bottom deck in any random order. Congratulations. This card says at the beginning of your battle, just look at the top 5. If you hit like an Eldrazi or something, congratulations. You get to play it for free, which is kind of stupid. This card's amazing. At the start of every battle phase that you have, you're just going to cheat out a giant creature, which is absolutely stupid. And then finally, for our last enchantment, we're playing Omniscience. This card is a 10-cost enchantment, but again, our leader could cheat it out for free. This card says, hey, if you, let's say you have a whole bunch of creatures in hand or a whole bunch of enchantments in hand, this card says, hey, don't worry, fam. You may cast spells from your hand without paying mana cost. Absolutely insane. Absolutely stupid. This card literally says, hey, I cheat this out turn 2. Okay. Or not cheat. You can't do it out turn 2. Turn 4 or 5 at latest. Because you're going to have to play out your commander. And then you're going to cheat this out. Cool. Once this is on field, and you have a handful of, like, insane cards, play it for free. Play your enchantments for free. Play your Eldrazi's for free. Play everything you want from hand for free, which is absolutely stupid and an amazing card. So that is it for the enchantments. That is it for the artifacts. That is it for our ramp spells. That is it for our lands. Let's now finally go over our creatures. So I'm actually going to move all this real quick because we actually don't have enough room. I'm pretty happy with the ratios of every card we've seen so far. It's very strong, very good, and ultimately just a hell of a good time. Alright, now it's time to go over the cards that we're actually cheating out with his leader. Because I've been giving you a lot of hype. I've been saying, oh, this deck's crazy. We're going to cheat out Eldrazi's and stuff. But you actually haven't seen the creatures we're cheating out. I showed you the enchantments. I showed you the artifacts. Now it's time to talk about the creatures that we are playing in the deck. So first things first, we have Paranoid Analysis. This is a creature for 2 mana, 1 color instead of green. Human Detective, 1/3. He says, whenever you manifest Dread, hey, you know that card that you mill that would be put in the graveyard? Add it to hand instead. So this card literally says, hey, this is actually, anytime you manifest Dread, draw a card and put a 2/2 on field. Really great card. Absolutely phenomenal. Next, we have Scoot Swarm. Any landfall deck should be playing this card. This card says, hey, when you place a land on field, create a 1/1 insect creature token. However, if you control 6 or more lands, you need to just create a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. So this card gets out of hand really fucking quickly. You land ramp insanely fast in this deck. This is an alternative win condition right here. I placed like 4 lands a turn when I already had like 7 lands on field. And I just won the game because I made like 30 freaking Scoot Swarms and just murdered an opponent, which is kind of crazy. This deck isn't really a token deck, but it can become a token deck out of nowhere. Next, we have Augur of Autumn. This card's amazing. It's another 3-cost character with 1 colorless and 2 green. It says you may loot the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands for the top of your library any time. Of course, you still have to go by the lands rule. And it also says, hey, Cloven, as long as there is 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. So you can just play creatures from the top of your library for free. You have to pay the mana cost, of course, but this is still just a really good card. Next, we have Traveling Kokobo. This card is stupid in this deck. Traveling Kokobo says, hey, you can do the same thing that Autumn does. Look at the top of your library anytime. You may play lands or bird spells from the top of your library anytime. We're not playing any other birds besides Coco, so it's just going to be able to play lands from the top of our library. But it also says, hey, if a land or bird you control enters the battlefield and causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control, it triggers again. So let's say, hey, you know how Zimone says when you place a land, manifest Dread? Well, if Coco's on field, you get to manifest Dread again. And that is absolutely stupid. Next, we're playing Hauntwood Shrieker. This card's amazing. It's a number 3/3, 3-cost guy, 2 greens and a colorless. He says, whenever a Hauntwood Shrieker attacks, you get to manifest Dread. Also, for just 2 mana, you can just reveal the face-down permanent. If it's a creature, turn it face up. So this flips up your manifest creatures, which is just really, really good. Next, for our final 3-cost character, we'll play probably one of the most craziest cards in the deck, Abhorrent Oculus. So this is a 5/5, 3-cost flying creature. However, it has an additional cost that you must exile cards from your graveyard. 6 cards. But that does not matter because if you manifest Dread it, that does not matter. Anyway, this card's a flying. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, manifest Dread. So this says, hey, you're going against 3 people. Every one of their turns, you're going to be manifesting Dread. And congratulations, you have Lurk Around Every Corner, which is going to then get you a free land, which will then cause Zimone to manifest Dread again. It just gets out of hand really quickly, and it's just one of the most broken cards in the deck. And guess what? If you have like another way to play land, you're just milling lands, get to place those lands and flip them up. Insane. Next we have Oracle of Manu. This is another 4-cost creature. It says you may play additional lands each turn. You may play lands from the top of your library revealed. You may also play lands from the top of your library. So this allows you to look at the top card of your library anytime. It also plays lands from your library, and it allows you to just play additional lands. We'll also play Ixabel Explorer. This card is amazing. Not only does it allow you to play additional lands each turn, but you may play lands from your graveyard. Also, it says whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. So you just get to mill your deck, get more lands on the field, and just win the game that way. Insane card. Next, we have Ashura's Soul of the Wild. This is a 5-cost card. This says, hey, while Ashura's Soul of the Wild's power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control, and all non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. So this makes all creatures lands, which could be used for mana, which is kind of crazy. Not to mention, hey, you just manifested Dread, a 2/2 colorless creature. However, congratulations, Ashura the Wild's on field now. That manifest creature is a land. Zimone, flip it up. Insane. Great card, great synergy for the deck. Next, we have Vamor, the Grave Gardener. This card is another insane card. For 5 mana, 4 colors and a green, legendary, a tree folk druid. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, congratulations, you may return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control as a forest land. Which means, hey, if you already placed a land this turn and your opponent removes a creature you control, just bring it back as a land, and then Zimone will trigger, and you get to flip it back up again. Absolutely stupid. Now, these are our payoff cards. These cards just help us play the game. These cards help us win the game. So next we have Royal Elemental, which is a flying 6/6. 6 cost, my apologies. 3 colors and 3 water. It's a 3/2 attack. However, it has the insane ability that says, hey, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain control of a target creature as long as Royal Elemental is on field. How do you like Snatch Stealing twice a turn? Yep, this card does that. It Snatch Steals on your opponent's turn. It Snatch Steals on your turn. Anytime a land you control enters the battlefield, congratulations, you're stealing a card on your opponent's field and running away with it. Insane card. Next, we have Austria Tyrant of Grid Strait. This card's amazing. It's another 6-cost character. 5/5. You may play additional lands each turn. Also, landfall. Every time a land enters your field, draw a card. Insanely good card. Next, the best card when it comes to like the support creatures, Ancient Green Ward. This card is a 6-cost, 5/7 reach. You may play lands from your graveyard. Also, if a land enters the battlefield causes a trigger ability, guess what? Trigger it again. So you have 2 ways to manifest Dread twice off either this or this, and it's just absolutely stupid. We're also playing Bonnie Pal Cutler, Clear Cutter. This card is actually pretty cool. So it's a 6-cost, 3 colors plus 2 water and a grass, and it says, hey, it has reach. This is a 6/5, not bad. Also, when Bonnie Paul enters the battlefield, so if you just hard play, don't manifest Dread, just hard play it, you get to create a legendary blue Ox creature token. That creature's power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control. So, hey, we're playing 40 lands, we're landscaping all the time. This deck gets out of control, and honestly, you're going to have like 20 lands on field by turn like 9. So it gets really crazy. Also, whenever you attack, draw cards, then you may put a land card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. This does everything the deck was trying to do. Place more lands from grave or from hand onto the field. Another great card. Next, we have Crater Beastie. This card's interesting. It's a 6/6, and it's kind of cool. It also has reach, so it hits flying. Colors creatures control enter with 2 additional +1/+1. So congratulations, your 2/2 you manifested. It's actually a 4/4 now, which is kind of crazy. Also, it says whenever Crater Beastie attacks, manifest Dread. Just manifest your cards Manifest Your Destiny. Great card. Next, we have Rampaging Behemoths or Behemoths. This card's also amazing. It has Trample. It also says Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 4/4 Green Beast token. So it's basically like Scoot Swarm on crack for higher cost. So Scoot Swarm is an insane card, but this card is also an insane card. Just all of a sudden we're a token deck, and all of a sudden we have like 4/4s on field at like turn 5. Crazy card. Next, we have Zimone, Hunger of Dominance. This is actually becoming one of my favorite cards in all green decks. This card is just amazing. It has reach, which is a great. It also says at the beginning of each combat phase, double the power and toughness of all creatures you control until the end of the turn. So if your opponent ever thinks of attacking you, you just be like, congratulations, everyone's double now. So Rampaging Behemoths, he's a 12/12. Hey, fucking him, he's an 8/12. Hey, Grave Gardener, he's a 10/10. Great card. Also, he has the additional effect you can just sacrifice 2 other creatures and put an invincible counter on him. So you can pay with either life or with mana. Absolutely stupid card. This card's one of the best green cards in the game, honestly. Next we have Next Blue Ancient. This card is stupid. If your opponent gets 1 turn off this, you're winning the game. Alright? This is a card with Trample. It's a 5/5, and it says, hey, it's a 7 cost, by the way, so it's high cost. This is also a 7 cost. This card says, if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times that many mana instead. So congratulations, your island, one single island is now 3 islands. Crazy. One forest is 3 forests. Imagine you have 8 forests on field. Congratulations, you have infinite mana, basically. Insane card. Next, we have Koma the Cosmos Serpent. This does not need any introductions. This is another 7 cost character. 2 green, 2 blue, and 3 colors. This is a legendary sea serpent. This spell cannot be countered. Also, at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 blue sea serpent token named Koma the Coil. Another token spawning card on every opponent's upkeep. You're creating a 3/3. And then he has 2 effects. Congratulations. First effect, you can tap a target permanent to activate its ability. It can't be activated its turn. So basically, you just sacrifice one of your snake tokens. And then you're going to target tap a permanent. Its activating abilities can't be activated this turn. So if they have like a trigger ability on summon, just negate it. Just negate it, which is insane. This feels like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. And it also says, hey, your opponent's activating a board wipe. Tribute a snake token. Congratulations. He's invincible. Everything else will die. He will live. And then guess what? You wasted all your mana this turn, so it goes to the next turn. Create another snake token. He's invincible again. Insane card. Absolutely amazing. Next we have Ancient Silver Dragon. This card's amazing. It's an 8 cost flying dragon that says, hey, whenever Ancient Silver Dragon attacks or deals combat damage, deals combat damage, roll a d20. Draw cards equal to the result, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So this card just says, hey, if you roll a 20, draw 20 cards, you have no hand size for the rest of the game. It's also a flying 8/8, which is just absolutely amazing. Now let's talk about the Eldrazi's. I wasn't lying to you when I said we were playing Eldrazi's. We're playing a shit ton. So first things first, we have Kozilek, the Broken Reality. This is a 9 cost card, and it says, when you cast a spell from hand, or cast a spell from anywhere, so if you exile it, it comes back. Guess what? You get to Manifest Dread up to 2 cards. Manifest Dread twice, basically. So, basically, when he enters the battlefield, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hand. So, I'll manifest 2 from my hand. My opponent will manifest 2 from their hand. And for each card manifested this way, draw a card. Which is pretty awesome. Also, other colors creatures you control get 3/2. So now, congratulations. Not only are these 2/2s, they're actually 7/4s. I know I just lied to you. They're 5/4s. I just can't do math. Great card. Next, we have Unraveler, the Defiler. This card is another amazing card. It says, hey, whenever you cast a spell, target opponent exiles half their library, rounded up. So just exile half a person's deck. And it says, hey, Unalock the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value of the cards exiled this way. So you choose the person with the biggest deck, exile half their deck, and then it's congratulations, Unalock the Defiler is now a gigantic boss monster who has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on him. What are we talking about? This card's stupid! And you're thinking, okay, well, you manifest Dreadabot to the field. He doesn't have that effect. You're correct. But as we already mentioned, one, he's a 10 cost. It's very easy to just like turn 8 play him in this deck. This deck is very easy at doing that. Two, you can easily play one of our 2 enchantments that just banish him, and then he comes back and he'll do it, which is crazy. It's stupid. Next, we have Unalock the Ceaseless Hunger. This has, hey, whenever you cast a spell, exile 2 target creatures, or 2 permanents, actually. It doesn't have to be creatures. He also has Indestructible, so he's immune to destruction-based removal. Also, whenever Unalock the Ceaseless Hunger attacks, the defending player exiles the top 20 cards in their library. Congratulations. If you somehow did these both to a person, you're not only winning a game off 2 10-10s, but you're also just winning a game because you banished your whole library. Next, we have the Butcher of Truth, Kozilek the Butcher of Truth. This card's a 12/12 Eldrazi. This card's amazing. Whenever you cast his spell, just draw 4. It has Annihilator 4, so when he attacks, the defending player has to sacrifice 4 permanents. Also, if he ever gets put into graveyard by any means, shuffle back your whole library. Don't worry about milling yourself out. Just shuffle it all back and do it all over again. Which is insane. Next, we have Paralyzer the Unalog. Paralyzer the Unalog is an 11 cost creature. It also has Annihilator 3. Also, Paralyzer Unalog can be attacked except by 3 or more creatures. Crazy card. Annihilator 3 is always good. We're also playing Unalog the Infinite Gyre. It's a 10/10/11 cost colorless. When you cast his spell, destroy a target permanent. Indestructible, Annihilator 4. When this card attacks, that defending player must sacrifice 4 permanents. Also, when Unalog the Infinite is put into a graveyard by any means, that player shovels their graveyard. That's really great. We're also playing a Darksteel Colossus, which is insane. It has Trample and Indestructible, which is incredible, as an 11/11. Also, if Darksteel Colossus would be put into graveyard by anywhere, reveal it and put it back into library, so it shuffles itself back. Great card. We're also playing Blightsteel Colossus, which is a game-ending card, because this card has Infect, Trample, and Indestructible. So if it has Infect, it means if you do Infect damage, you just win the game. So if this hits anybody, they lose. Also, if Blightsteel Colossus will be put into graveyard anywhere, shuffle it back and do it all over again. We'll also have It's That Betrays. This card is amazing as a 12 cost. Annihilator 2. When it attacks, the defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. Also, whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto your battlefield so to steal their best creatures. Insane. And next, for our final Eldrazi, we're playing the Promise End. Unalik, the Promise End is this costs 1 less to cast for each card among your graveyard. If you have 13 cards in your graveyard, this card is a 0 cost. Also, when you cast this spell and gain control of a target opponent during your turn, and after that turn, that player takes an extra turn. That does not matter, because you're not going to give him an extra turn. If you're stealing their creature, you're winning the fucking game, because this has Flying, Trample, and Protection from Instants. And finally, for our last creature, it's actually a land card, Darkest Depths. Now, you're probably wondering, why are we playing this card? It's a land. Why is this included in our big Eldrazi tier here? Well, this card is actually insane. So, yes, it is normally a land. However, this card says, hey, when this card enters the battlefield with 10 ice counters on it, for 3 mana, you may remove an ice counter from this depths. And then it says, hey, when Darkest Depth has no ice counters, sacrifice it if you do create a legendary 2020 black avatar creature token with Flying and Indestructible. Now, you're probably wondering, why is that good? Well, congratulations. Let's say you manifest Dread this card. This card is in your face down, as a 2/2 creature. Then you flip it up. Well, congratulations. When you flip this card, it will not have its counters, so you can immediately sacrifice it for the Darkest Depths 2020 Flying Indestructible creature, which is kind of stupid. So, that is it for this deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. Like and subscribe. See you all in the next one, and bye-bye.